The first person to laugh when Hannah Brooks was called the discount daughter was not a stranger. It was her own father. That day, everyone else in the room laughed along. No one knew that years later, that very nickname would become one of the biggest mistakes their family had ever made. Hannah grew up in a home where nearly all the attention seemed to revolve around her older sister, Olivia. Olivia stood out wherever she went. She loved expensive things, luxurious vacations, and ambitious plans. Whenever Olivia ran into trouble, the entire family immediately came together to help. Hannah was different. She was quiet, calm, always capable of handling things on her own. If a shirt was torn, she mended it herself. If something was too expensive, she simply chose not to buy it. Over time, her family began to treat Hannah's endurance as something natural. No one intentionally tried to hurt her, but no one truly paid attention to what she needed either. After graduating from college, Hannah moved to Portland for work. The phone calls home became less frequent. Her visits grew shorter. In her family's eyes, she remained the same simple daughter with an ordinary office job. What they didn't know was that for more than 12 years, Hannah had been quietly building an entirely different life. In her small apartment, she spent hours every week studying the markets. She invested consistently, patiently, with discipline. Small amounts of money accumulated year after year. She never showed off. She never told anyone. Even as her investment portfolio grew far beyond what many people earned, Hannah continued living the same modest lifestyle. She had grown used to being overlooked. That summer, the Brooks family gathered to celebrate Independence Day. As usual, Olivia arrived with yet another story about the financial problems surrounding her life. Every eye in the house immediately turned toward Olivia. No one noticed that the woman quietly preparing food in the kitchen was the one carrying the biggest secret in the room. And within just a few hours, that secret would change everything forever. It all started with a notification that appeared on a phone screen. Just one notification. But it was enough to silence the entire room. Hannah had just stepped away from the dining table to help her mother clean up in the kitchen. Her phone was still lying on the table beside her chair. At that exact moment, the screen lit up. Olivia happened to notice it. At first, she only intended to move the phone aside, but the message on the screen made her freeze. It was an asset update report from an investment management firm. Olivia frowned. Then she unlocked the screen. A few seconds later, all the color drained from her face. The rest of the room quickly sensed that something was wrong. Richard was the first to stand up. Susan walked over as well. No one said a word. Every eye was fixed on the number displayed on the screen. More than $11 million. No one could believe it. Olivia shook her head. She checked it again and again as if the system had made a mistake. But the numbers remained there. Clear. Accurate. Impossible to deny. Just then, Hannah returned. She immediately understood what had happened. The silence in the room said everything. Olivia stared at her sister as though she were looking at a complete stranger. Since when? Hannah remained calm. For quite a while. That answer only made Olivia even more stunned. For quite a while? You've kept this to yourself all these years? But what caught Hannah's attention was not the questions being asked. It was the questions no one asked. No one asked how she had done it. No one asked what sacrifices she had made. No one showed any curiosity about the journey behind such an enormous fortune. Within minutes, the conversation had already shifted in a different direction. Olivia began talking about her business debts. The vacation home was at risk of being repossessed by the bank. Several major payments were coming due. Susan let out a worried sigh. Richard folded his arms and thought quietly. Then the familiar phrase finally appeared. Family helps family. Hannah stood there in silence. And in that moment, she realized something painful. Her family did not see the woman who had spent more than a decade quietly building a successful life. They only saw the money. And in their minds, that money had already started to belong to everyone. What made Hannah laugh was not her family's request. It was how familiar it felt. For years, she had always been the one expected to sacrifice a little more, to give up a little more, to be a little more understanding. And now, after they had discovered that she was worth more than $11 million, nothing seemed to have changed. The only difference was that the sacrifice they expected from her had become much larger. Olivia was the first to break the silence. You can't seriously mean that. You know what I'm going through. Just lend me a part of it. Richard immediately joined in. That's not giving money away. It's simply helping family get through a difficult time. Susan looked at her daughter with pleading eyes. I don't want to see your sister lose everything. Hannah listened, calmly, without anger, without disappointment, because deep down, one truth had become impossible to ignore. No one had asked what she had gone through to achieve what she had today. No one was curious about the countless evenings she had worked late, the investments that had failed, the years she had lived frugally while her friends enjoyed expensive lifestyles. All they saw was a number, and they believed they had a right to it. Finally, Hannah rose slowly from her chair. Her voice was gentle, but firm. I'm not going to lend any money, and I'm not going to guarantee anyone's debt. The room instantly froze. Olivia stared at her sister as if she had just been betrayed. Richard tightened his jaw. Susan turned away and wiped tears from her eyes. But for the first time in her life, Hannah refused to manage anyone else's emotions. She picked up her handbag and walked toward the door. No arguments, no further explanations. As the door closed behind her, she felt a strange sense of peace. 1 year later, Hannah's investment portfolio had continued to grow. Her life remained as simple as ever. Her family was still part of her life, but the boundaries were different now. And for the first time since she had been that little girl known as the discount daughter, Hannah understood that her worth did not need to be proven to anyone. If you were in Hannah's position, would you have helped your family, or would you have held your boundaries? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy emotional family stories filled with meaningful lessons about self-respect and personal value, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next story.